detrimental to your health.
Yeah, it just sets a bad example for everybody, and I'm excited that the league did that with, for a perfect example is a Cano type, big name, still has a great bat, gets suspended for the first 100 games of the season, but who cares? He'll be back and ready to go, and they kind of just saw that and they're like, oh wait, this guy could just get suspended in September and be back. So let's make that really hurt.
It's kind of the best thing for the Mariners though, because the Mariner fans got to see, hey, this team is good without him. This is a good baseball team. And it's not just Robinson Cano.
Did you trade him in the offseason and that contract?
If somebody will take the contract, hell yeah.
I mean, I think you almost, if you're the Mariners, do you go and get a bat, or do you go get another, pitcher, which you might need a pitcher, honestly.
Yeah, well, you need D at second is the first thing. Because he's a good defensive second baseman, and he's going to hit 300. What more could you ask for out of a second baseman? Not everybody needs to be the power hitter. Get somebody to get on base and steal bases.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, after, King Felix is in his last year of his deal next year, and he hasn't been great. You got Paxton, who's been great. You got Leak, who's been good. They just
extended. Extended.
Yeah, they gave him an extension, but he's older, so he's kind of a question mark. So you could use another pitcher. And then you got Nelly Cruz, who's a free agent, but he might come back. Span is on a mutual option, but you might as well just bring him back for depth.
They have called about Cole Hamels, so that was interesting.
I mean, that would be something obviously they don't need Cano, as in the Rangers, as they.
Right.
But if they want to give up, some younger guys, I mean, if they were real dumb, they could get Ryan Healy, which would be great. But
yeah.
I don't think the Mariners do that.
I don't know that there's a real big impact guy on the market for them, but
no, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I got an interesting. Austin, you might know more just because you're a Texas guy, and I don't know about you, Terry. But would Ryan Healy for Cole Hamels work because you could technically move Robinson Cano to first base?
I mean, yeah. I would think so.
Because I believe that Hamels has a club option next year.
Yeah, he does.
Ryan Healy, he's really good, obviously, and he's got a bright future at 26 years old and a power bat and under-team control and, that all that fun stuff. But if they got Cole and whatever for Healy, D. Gordon at second and then Cano at first forever.
I think that they really like Guzman at first base right now, from what I've heard. So it's a little sketch on that part.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Texas has bought into a lot of these young kids. I mean, the problem is you have people on the roster that hit more home runs than they do singles.
At Joe Gallo.
Yeah, at Joe. Yeah, that was a subtweet.
Yeah, subtweet big time.
Yeah, but then you have Rougned Odor, who tries to be Joey Gallo when he should try to be D. Gordon, and it's a problem. Bad baseball team.
Yep, pretty much.
With
Yohander Mendez.
With Hamels, there's been some recent talk that maybe he goes back to Philly.
That's where I think he's going to wind up.
Yeah.
That would be huge for Philly. Do the Red Sox need him?
No.
Well, I don't know. How bad do you need a 5-starter, I guess?
Well, let me ask you this. If he was here...
Is he the 3?
Is he year 3 in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. I would...
He's got...
yeah, I would say so.
He's got World Series experience multiple times over.
Yeah.
He does.
World Series MVP as well.
Yeah, you have to run for him. Do you give up Chavez and some lower-level guys? I would give up Chavez in a second.
Oh yeah, to get that out of the system, basically.
And they've kind of been interested in Swihart as well, and he would just be a small part of it, but
yeah, your catcher's 34 years old,
right? Yeah.
Even if they want Vasquez, who I think Vasquez might be a better player than Swihart right now. I think Swihart has the potential to be, and Vasquez's contract kind of does become an issue at some point. In 2020, it's 4.2. In 2021, it's 6.25. So, kind of a little bit of money. To put it in perspective, who makes $6 million? Jackie Bradley Jr. makes $6 million. Stephen Pierce makes $6 million.
Moreland.
Marcus Cousins.
Yeah. Boogie, next time with Joe Kelly,
Boogie Cousins.
Yeah. So a lot of guys make, that good money. Is Vasquez going to be worth that in 2021?
Here's the thing, guys. I was trying to touch on this earlier. I just feel like a lot of these guys, maybe aside from Machado and Harper, if the Nats really go in the toilet in the next few weeks,
Which I would love.
aside from those guys, I don't see any top 5 prospects really getting dealt here. The number 10 and 11 guy was dealt for arguably the best reliever on the market. And he could get redealt for all we know. I mean, if they go into the toilet, why are they going to hold him? But
Yeah, they should.
but
They're
I think that's the market for a lot of these guys. DeGrom's not on the market, so there's no big splash there. That's the Chris Sale trade, if there was going to be one. So I think a lot of moves aren't going to get made until late July because they're just stubbornly going to wait out the market. But I don't think Hap's going to go for a big haul. I don't think Hamels is going to go for a big haul. I'm trying to think of some bats that might be on the move.
Real Muto.
Well, he's a catcher, so maybe a semi-significant prospect there. You could probably touch on a top 5, but...
So,
Yeah,
here's
top
the
5.
thing, Kay.
And then
If there is a number 1 prospect in baseball that is going to get dealt, and they get really desperate for a catcher, there's a chance that Brendan Rodgers gets moved out of Colorado and heads to Miami for Real Muto. But they need pitching.
Yeah, I think they're going in the...
They
might be
story.
sellers, too.
The thing is,
Yeah,
they have their corner infielders, basically.
Yeah, they do. Well, they have the left side of the infield pretty much.
Yeah, they have the left side that's what I meant. They have the left side complete
Yeah.
for the next year. Even second base.
I don't think Colorado's going to be buyers, though. I think they're going to be sellers.
No, I think they kind of just stay the course. And, I mean, they can turn it around. It's not that they can't. I mean,
Especially in that division.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing Seattle like 8 times in the next 2 weeks. But, I mean, if it's Seattle that's 8-2, they're going to run some troubles. If Seattle got swept and lost 5, almost 6 in a row, then they can kind of take advantage of that and get back in it.
I just know there's been a lot of dialogue with a lot of their players, so, I mean, we'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I actually saw a stat the other day when they were playing. Chris Iannetta who I believe is a Rhode Island boy, if I remember correctly. He hit a go-ahead home run. It was 1-0. Was like the second 1-0 win in Colorado in like 10 years.
Coors Field, man.
Something ridiculous like that, and I was like, oh, that's not a pitcher's market there.
Well, you could never bring a pitcher into Colorado, it seems like. Like, never a free agent pitcher would ever go to Colorado.
No, they wouldn't. Now, does David Price want to go there for, maybe a trade?
Well, yeah. That's what made what Ubaldo Jimenez did in Colorado so impressive the year that he just blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
That he did it at Coors.
If you're good there, I mean, you're good anywhere at that point, right?
Well, except for him. I mean, he really...
Yeah, he kind of...
It was the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the exception to the rule.
Yeah, I remember the game he got dealt too. I think he was scheduled to start that night even. And
have y'all ever been like a weird part of baseball, like where you go to a game and then somebody gets dealt the next day?
I've been a part of like weird things that happen at games. Like I was at a game when we scored like 21 runs against the Tigers. Handful of years ago. Ortiz hit like 2 or 3 home runs in the game. We almost got no hit against the Cubs a few years back, and Steven Drew broke up the no-hitter.
I remember that.
I was at that game. That was a great game to watch. I've never been at a game, though, when someone is like, oh, yeah, like, Bogart's, hit a home run today. Next day, wake up in the morning. Bogart's not in the team anymore.
Yeah, so in a couple years ago, I was at a Frisco Rough Riders game in Dallas watching the Rangers AA team play. And Blake Bevan was on the hill, Joey Gallo at first base. I think Jorge Alfaro might have been behind the plate. But, we were talking about how good Gallo is. This is like 2012. And Gallo is still a prospect, like, in Frisco. He sat in Frisco for years. But I watched Blake Bevan throw 6 no-hit innings and come off the field in the 6th inning because he was dealt for Cliff Lee. And I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
That is crazy.
That was what, 2009?
Yeah, something like that. Whenever the Rangers went on their... No, it'd have to be 2011-ish because they were on their run.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was the World Series year, one of the World Series year that ends in heartbreak.
Yeah, I've never been at a game like that. I remember watching a Boston Bruins game, and Mike Camilleri of the Canadians went off the ice in the middle of the second period, and then he never came back out, and then he got dealt mid-game. And he was like the top 6 forward, and that was wild. I've never been at a game for it.
How would you like to be at that Mets game a couple years ago? When who did they almost trade? They even pulled him off the field.
Was that Harvey?
No, it wasn't Harvey. It was a short.
It was a shortstop, right?
Yeah, it was a shortstop.
Was that the kid?
I feel like he's still there.
Was that the kid that got his leg broken?
I think so.
I
was wondering if that's what you were talking about. You're talking about, was that Tejada?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called him off the field because he'd basically been traded. Everybody.
Oh no, that was Wilmer Flores.
It was Wilmer Flores.
There it is. Yep. Yeah, he was like basically in tears almost.
Yeah, and he gets a hit as his last at bat as a Met. And I was just like, this is wild.
And then it didn't happen, right?
Yeah, and he's sitting there the next day, and the fans are like, well, shit, we gave you a round of applause. Like, come on.
That's got to be one of the weirdest, actually. Yeah. Was that for Carlos Gomez? Was that who was going to get moved?
Yeah, it was definitely for Carlos Gomez, and then there was another prospect involved, I think.
Oh, I thought it was a medical that held it up, no?
It might have been.
Okay, I could be wrong myself. So
I got a question. We were talking about trades for the Sox, and I don't think they need to make a big move. And we kind of already saw what the the market is a little bit, especially for relievers. If the Nationals do end up tanking and sucking, trading Murphy, Harper, and Scherzer is a little unrealistic. But what about Sean Doolittle? He's somebody I would give up something significant for Sean Doolittle.
Do you want Doolittle or do you want Herrera?
I want Doolittle because I think Doolittle's really good, and he's got a great contract. We're going to end up losing Kimbrel. He's getting $13 million right now. He's going to want to raise from anywhere from 17 to 20. So I don't think we pay that. Joe Kelly gets 3.8, I think 3.6. He's an upgrade. Say he gets a double upgrade, like double his salary paid, $6 million. The next 2 years of Doolittle is $6 million and 6.5 club options. So if we don't want him, we don't need him. The opt-out is only for $500,000. It's a buyout we got to give. And we could have Joe Kelly in the 8th, Doolittle in the 9th for the same price as Kimbrel right now.
I mean, that sounds good to me. I mean, and what do you think we would have to give up? Would it be a lot like Herrera? Would it be like a 10 to 15 and 2 10 to 15s and then later than that and then somewhat deeper than that?
Yeah, I think it could be someone like Chavez and like, not a Jalen Beeks, but somewhere around that type of thing. Maybe even someone in our bullpen right now, like someone that eat innings and kind of like a weird fringe guy, like a Hector Velasquez or something, as the topper end of that deal. But it might just be a couple prospects, and a bad roster player that could get him over here, and that would be great.
It's essentially a Kimbrel deal all over again, just a half a season short, which doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly, and he could help out right now as well. Where Thornburg, we don't know if he's even real, but if he actually comes in and plays, and he's like, okay, not great, do we trust him in the 7th inning or 8th inning role in the playoffs? Well, Doolittle can take over the 7th or 8th, even if Kelly's been struggling a little bit recently. But I wouldn't mind putting Kelly, Doolittle, Kimbrel as your 7, 8, 9, and that even more solidifies the whole David Price of the bullpen thing, because you can use David Price like Andrew Miller and Terry Francona did in 2016, and use Price every other day, every third day, and get him from the 4th or 5th inning to the 7th.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more costly than that, but I would definitely be interested in him.
I would try and make it work because he's a future asset. He's not a rental.
Right.
You have him for this year.
Yeah.
This year that the Red Sox would win the division and win 100 games. You have him for the next 2 years, where our window is definitely open the next 2 years. And if you give up some prospects, I would even go on and give up Beeks and Chavez and somebody else. Give up those 3 prospects, well, those 2, and someone else, because Chavez is blocked.